So we're in the middle of what are we? And we're in fall. The fall to me is not, one of those lattes. To me, it's maple and pumpkin. Two of my favorite things that I eat almost all year round. The maple syrup you've seen before on our show, which is John's family, my husband's family, that actually produce and make maple in Vermont. We get a couple of these every year for Christmas. Believe me, if you've never had real maple syrup, definitely invest in it. It's really worth it. I mean, I can drink this out of a shot glass. It's so good. It's really good. And the light stuff is the best. It's actually called Fancy. I always had, when I was a kid, my mom always bought like Aunt Jemima or Log Cabin, which is really not syrup. It was like sugar with flavoring in it. But that's all I ever knew until I tried the real stuff. Once you try the real stuff, it's like, what is it? You never go back? Well, you never go back. So I actually use that in today's recipe, which is I made maple walnut fudge. Now this stuff, like I said, I'm a sucker for maple. And this stuff was pretty good, and I toasted the nuts first. If you ever use nuts in a recipe, generally speaking, I would always recommend that you toast them first in a pan, a dry skillet perhaps. And you gotta toast your nuts. But seriously, toasting your nuts brings out all the essential oils to the surface, and they taste quite a bit differently. Don't watch them closely. Shake them from time to time and don't let them burn. And it gives it a different taste, a more fuller, richer taste when you toast any kind of nuts, and especially walnuts. So I put walnuts in here, and this is quite an easy recipe. It was sweetened condensed milk, that Eco brand stuff you can buy in the store. It's got sugar, it's like evaporated milk, but it's got a lot of sugar in it. Hey, it works, right? You can use it in different recipes. And also some of those white chocolate discs. They are not white chocolate. There is no such thing as white chocolate. That is a total misnomer. White chocolate essentially just is, it's butter. I mean, it's like, what was the word I'm looking for? What am I looking for? No, it's not white chocolate. It's just sugar. And it's when I was a kid, we used to go to the beach and slather our bodies with, this Hershey stuff, and it was made out of what is that stuff? Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
It's like not oil.
Not oil, but it was cocoa butter. Ta-da! Okay, cocoa butter. Ding ding. So cocoa butter used to fry our bodies. I used to come home with like second-degree burns, but of course my mother was screaming at me, and I thought I looked pretty doggone good, but I did not. But cocoa butter is what white chocolate is. It's got a minute amount in it, but you use that in these white discs you can buy. They're called melting discs, and you can buy them in bulk. You can buy them at like Michael's, you can buy them at Winco, you can buy them at anybody that makes them. And they're really good to make candy bark out of. And we'll be doing those in future shows too. The candy bark is so simple to make. I mean, anybody can make it. But this, I melted those, a little bit of butter. I think I used 1/4 cup of butter in this recipe. Maple syrup, the real stuff. And don't use that crap that's colored. It tastes a world of difference. And then the nuts in it. I mean, how hard is this? And you just mix it together, throw it in a pan, throw it in the fridge. A couple hours later, you got maple fudge. It's pretty doggone good. I would eat this on anything. You could also put this on a graham cracker and put it in the microwave for 30 seconds and let it melt, and put another graham cracker on top with a marshmallow, kind of like a maple s'more. I'm just thinking about what you can do here. It's always about the food, right? It's always about the food. Okay, so moving on to the next one. Another recipe I made today also is I made crock pot pumpkin butter. Now I happen to like, like apple butter. Apple butter is, I've showed it to you before on this show. And this is like a can of pumpkin. I use this. Organic pumpkin. I think I got this at Trader Joe's. They usually only sell it at this time of the year in the fall. But what I do is I buy a case of this a year. I know it sounds like, what are you going to do with a case of this? You can make soups. You can make the best pumpkin curried soup. We'll have to do that for you. You can make pumpkin curries out of this with a little coconut milk. I mean, this is really good. And throw in a handful of vegetables. But I made pumpkin butter. I figured, well, if we can make apple butter out of a can of apples, or fresh apples, if you really want to go at all that work, which I'm not about. I'm always about making shortcuts or hacks in the kitchen. What to make your life easier in pantry food. I made this, and if you look closely, Rich, you can see the little dots in there. That's the chia seeds that I used when I made the apple butter. And chia seeds are a natural product. It's a natural food product that actually grow about 7 times the size when you buy them. And they're a health food, but they also create volume. So and they also thicken. Instead of using another thickener or anything like that, just use the chia seeds. It's a natural product, and it grows. This will keep in your refrigerator probably for about a year. You can use it, I will use this pumpkin butter to baste like maybe a pork tenderloin or maybe a chicken. Mix a little bit of horseradish in to cut the sweet, a little bit of salt, a little bit of probably vinegar to cut it as well. Always when you're cooking with sweet, always add a scant amount of sugar to balance out the whole recipe. The chemistry works much better that way. And what you do is then you can slather it on anything. Pork chops. I mean, this would be great on that. Just even a piece of toast with butter. Use a lot of butter, by the way. Butter's a food group. So put that on your bread, put it on your meat, put it on anything you want to, or you can even thicken it up further and put it in a pie shell and make a pie out of this. By a little bit of cornstarch. There's all kinds of ideas that you can use. Play with it. As I always say, and I really mean this, play with your food. If you play with your food and be creative, you will enjoy it so much more. Food is not a chore. Food should not be a problem for you to sit there and go, oh my God, what am I going to make tonight? Everything that's on our shows can be made in 15, 20, or the very most a half an hour. Everything is shortcut cooking, pantry cooking. And especially in times like this with COVID, you're not going to run to the store for some esoteric ingredient that you'll use one time and toss it. Improvise, and that's the best thing about cooking. You can open your refrigerator and look and go, okay, I can do this instead. Jams and jellies are a great way of improvising, of making sauces, of adding to flavor to food and adding interest. And that's what you want to do to make the shortcut cooking even shorter and to make it more flavorful. Use what you have and don't go to the store for one item. So join us again. I'm glad you joined us today, and please email us at, what am I? I'm amanjaventura@gmail.com with any of your suggestions, or if you want to come on the show, send me your recipe, and who knows, we'll maybe pick you to come on the show and cook with me. I think that could be a lot of fun. I could always use another sous chef like I did with Aiden today. So again, thanks to my friends that always support me, hold me up, and carry me close. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week. Manja!